So one thing I definitely saw in the news last week, yeah, that I had to 150% talk about was regarding the gender pay gap. And like, well, the area that I was looking into was Asia, specifically Singapore. Singapore has now been declared as one of the places that is leading in the gender pay gap and closing the gender pay gap. Leading in closing the gender pay gap is what I should have said, but anyway. Yeah, like according to the news report that I read now, 15% of women are in top CEO positions and management positions. One third of decision makers in a lot of companies are women now. But despite this, the wage between men and women, like there's still 10% difference between men and women. Women get paid less, 10% more than men, even if they do exactly the same job, which, like, I mean, for me, it's quite simple, straightforward story. I mean, of your man, of your woman, we're human. Being human makes us equal, in my opinion. Personally, that's the way I see it. I mean, culture dictates many other things, people's background, and just so many other things that dictates it for so many people. But for me, I've always just seen it as that, like, well, we're all human, really, so it doesn't really matter in terms of like gender specific anyway. Like, especially for me, yeah, personally, in my growing up and in my childhood, yeah, most of the people who have been significant in my life have been female anyway. So if I was gonna like discriminate against anyone, it would be the men. That's the thing. Personally, for me, yeah, because I mean, when I was a kid, I won't think of like, I don't have many memories of like male teachers, like not even being the favorites, but being the ones that listened to me more, being the ones that understood me more, being the ones that paid attention to me more. And if I do have many memories of them, of the male teachers, it was of them telling me off for things that I pretty much don't remember doing. There was one time, yeah, I'm not gonna go too deep into it. One teacher who I thought was really, really nice, he's cool, everything. I'm sitting there in complete silence. The class is making noise. He points at me and says, "Get out of the class." Why? But boy, that's just me personally, yeah. But also as well, one thing that's worried me about this article, as well, it's happy about it. It's happy, it's good news because it's closing the gap. But one thing that's worried me about it as well is that some women think that in order to compete in with the men and become in and enter these positions, they have to give up hope of a family or hope of like family life. But like, if you don't have a family, in my opinion, who are you gonna pass the wealth onto? Like the wealth that you're making, I mean, it's gonna be like, yeah, you have to work extra hours for it. You have to like put in extra work, but if you don't have time to spend it because you're putting in extra work and you don't have a family to spend it on, you just have to use it on yourself for your own life, then like apart from sustaining you, what's it really gonna do? I mean, yeah, you could be stinky rich, definitely, that's good, but I see it in the case of that, like in the long run, when you're like retired, you want to pass it on to like your kids so that you can give them the opportunities you may not have had, like private school, like extra sports activities, because not everyone gets to play like golf from when they're kids in it, or maybe even F1. You could get send your kids to F1 school. They could be a next Lewis Hamiltons or Lewis Hamiltinas. That did not work for a gender equivalent. But anyway, yeah, these kind of things can't happen if you don't have a family, in my opinion. So I do think, personally, it shouldn't be a case of you have to pick between one or the other. You should be able to do both. And I think the only way to really get that kind of support, like, is to make the gender pay gap equal between men and women. I do think that it needs to be because I'm not gonna lie, there are guys who still make loads of money, and I think they're still thinking family, wife, kids, settle down. Why is it women have to think differently? I don't know. Well, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Yes.